Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Map Time here on VRT. Thanks for coming back for another episode. I want to apologize for the long delay between videos. I've been, just busy with stuff and just haven't had the time to put in the proper effort to put out a good video. So, got a little free time now. Hopefully, I could do that for you today because we got an interesting episode. I really want to dive into something that I really enjoy looking for on the maps and researching and reading about, and that would be impact craters all over the Earth. The scars, you might say, of the impact craters, or I should say the asteroids and meteors that have hit the Earth throughout its history. Some big, some small, some recent, some long ago. But there's one thing for sure is that they've happened in the past and they'll happen again. Let's get started with probably the classic crater that everyone thinks about when they think about an impact crater. In fact, in the Wikipedia article, it's the picture that they actually show for a crater. So, and one of the nice things is since it's very recent, it's very easy to find, and that would be Meteor Crater here, and just outside of Winslow, Arizona. This is well, let's look it up. Here on our good friend Wikipedia, Meteor Crater. So I just wanted to see. Okay, 50,000 years. So basically a blink of an eye for in geologic time. Anyway, so that's why it's very very fresh, not very eroded, not like the more ancient impacts that you really gotta look for other signs because they happened so long ago that they've basically been eroded away. But as you can see, usually most craters, depending on the angle of the impact, but this is obviously a very dead-on impact, you'll get a rim, then the excavated area, and then oftentimes, although not in this crater particularly, you'll get a central ring or a central peak. Basically, the rebound of the force of the impact pushes matter and material on Earth up straight as a rebound of that impact. So that's something we see in much bigger craters. So let's explore a little bit. Let's look at one that's pretty easy to find. You might even see it, if you're looking at this picture right here, even this zoomed out, and you probably noticed, and I think I even pointed this out in the last video. There's this interesting little circular lake here, or annular lake, if I can say that word. And this is Lake Manikugen. Pretty sure that's how you say it, or Lac Manikugen, in French, because it's in Quebec. Remember that. And actually, this is not technically a lake; it's actually a reservoir. Down here in the town of Manikugen, there's a dam, and what's interesting is, although I don't think there's any aerial photographs from the time, but before this river was dammed, this island was actually not an island. There was actually two separate lakes. That's what I'm trying to say, separated by small pieces of land here and here. But when the reservoir was created, they flooded those areas and created this interesting ring structure here that you can see definitely from space. Like if you were in the International Space Station, you would definitely be able to see that. So let's take a look at that. So Manikugen Reservoir, also known as Lake Manikugen, is an annular lake, like I said, if I can say that word properly, in central Quebec, covering an area of 750 square miles. So pretty big. The island at the center, which is pretty much the entire thing, is that's a French name, René Levessier Island. I hope I said that right. And its highest point is Mount Babel, which is the rebound peak in the middle. In fact, if I clicked on this, it would probably say that. Mount Babel is the central peak of the Manikugen Crater and was formed by the rebound of the crust after the impact of the meteor 210 million years ago. So much older than the last crater we were looking at and much bigger as well. Mountain Reservoir. Okay. So let's head back. So essentially, so now we know how long ago it was. Impact crater. Okay. So this is what we're interested in here. So it lies in the remnants of an ancient eroded impact crater. So, like I said before, eroded, an astrobleem that's called, which would be a, if we look at this little diagram here, like I said, this would be the central peak that I spoke about before, the rebound, central peak uplift, ejecta. So that's interesting. Oh, look at this. So scientists believe that the Manikugen impact may have been part of a multiple impact event with other craters both in North America and in Northern Europe, and also France, Manitoba, Ukraine, North Dakota. So what's interesting is when these impacts happen, the continents were, I believe, in the formation of Pangea at the time. So one supercontinent, all the land was together. So basically, North America and Europe were next to each other, and so you had a impact crater, a line of impacts. And here, Manitoba, North Dakota, Quebec, and then out here in France, I believe they said Ukraine and into Russia. So it was at the time, it was a straight line with continuous land. So that's interesting. You know, that's something you got to take into account when you're talking about things that happened that long ago. So a lot of these craters, these impact craters I'm going to talk about, are in Canada. So if you're Canadian, you should be proud of that. You have a lot of interesting remnants of the past in your vast land. Let's go a little further north in the same province of Quebec. To a feature that you've probably seen now that I've zoomed in, that is most definitely a multiple impact event. And this is Lake, oh my god, okay, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Hold on, let me see if I can look that up. Okay, Lake, alright, I'm just going to call them the Clearwater Lakes, because that's a lot easier than Wiasakami, I guess is how you say that, or Wasakami. Now these lakes are actually, and if you look close enough, you could tell that they're actually one body of water. They're not two lakes. They basically have a kind of a dotted line of islands here between them, and then two basins. But you can see that this is two distinct impact craters. This bigger one actually has a central peak, or remnants of a central peak as well in the middle. And I believe that's what that says here, because I believe I've read this before. Clearwater East and West are both complex craters with distinct central peaks. The central peak of the western one, the bigger one, is still above the water. The eastern one has eroded away under the water. And let's see, so this occurred, both impacts occurred in the Ordovician, which is what, that's a long time. That's twice as old as the Manikugen impact, 460, 470 million years ago. The Ordovician was early on in the, what are we, in the Phanerozoic eon? I don't know, I always get confused by geologic time. Although this says that it could have been formed in the early Permian, which is, Permian's more recent? I get confused by that. Anyway, a long time ago. And yeah, it's basically believed that to been created by a binary asteroid, which was essentially a large asteroid with a smaller asteroid rotating around it. The bigger one obviously would have created the bigger lake. And that's interesting because it used to be believed that binary asteroids couldn't exist, but they discovered one, which is the asteroid Ida. I've actually heard about this with its satellite Dactyl. Be sure to look that up. That's interesting stuff. Alright, so let's stay in Canada, and let's look at two more. So one is, this next impact crater is unconfirmed. In fact, there's really no distinct evidence that it is an impact crater other than the shape of this lake, and that would be Lake Mistasini. Mistasini? Yeah. Forgive me for the pronunciations here. So let's look that up. Lake Nestini is I definitely said that wrong, is a large natural lake in Quebec. Well, so far we've been in Quebec this entire time. Let's see. I believe somewhere in here it talks about it's possible. Oh, here we go. It was reported the arc-shaped lake, together with nearby Lake Albinel, which would be this lake here, I may have formed by a large meteor impact about 2.1 billion years ago. So that's back in the Archean, I believe. That's back when the only thing that existed on Earth was single-celled organisms in the ocean. So that was a long time ago. 310 diameter crater. It's, by now it definitely would have been eroded away. In fact, the only reason why it may still exist is because it's on a very, it's basically in the middle of the North American plate. So, it's not much geologic action going on here. But yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, there's no distinct, it would be like, think about this as one little arc of a giant crater. Remember, this is much, much, much more recent, so this would, underlie this. So it would come all the way out here. So, but, unconfirmed. If confirmed, it would be the largest impact crater on Earth. Yeah. I mean, that's massive. That's bigger than, just almost as big as New York State itself. That's crazy. So let's go to the last impact crater, I believe the second largest confirmed impact crater on Earth, and that would be here, the Sudbury Basin here in Ontario. So we're still in Canada, different province, and let's look that up. So, oh, sorry, excuse me, I misspoke. It is the third largest known impact crater on Earth, as well as one of the oldest. 1.849. Oh my God, that's a long time ago. That's a lot of years. That's unfathomable for a human to really think about during the Paleo-Proterozoic era. I think I said that right. And essentially, the remnant of the impact crater is this depression where you have the city of Sudbury, I think that's how you say it, and the surrounding area here. You can kind of see it. It's such an ancient impact crater that it may be very difficult to see, especially with all the human development on top of it. But because it was such a massive impact, and you can see it on the map here, there is a wealth of mining ore of all kinds in the Sudbury Basin. So there's a lot of mining here, and you can tell by all the till ponds and everything around. Nickel, stuff like that, precious metals, look here, nickel, copper, palladium, wow, palladium's important for electronics, gold, platinum, all very, obviously precious metals, but also very important for electronics and computer chips and things like that. So very important. So yeah, that is, and I think there's a couple other impact craters in Canada, but let's head somewhere else. Now that was the third largest crater on Earth. Let's go check out the largest confirmed crater on Earth. How about that? And for that, we need to head to the southern hemisphere. In South Africa, the Redford Crater, right here, is the largest confirmed impact crater in the world. Here's the town of Redford, which is named after. And just looking here, you can kind of see a little bit of a ring here. Pretty large. I mean, this is a large area, bigger than an entire metropolitan area. And these are actually ridges that follow the rim of the crater, which is now obviously deep deep underneath now. This this is a pretty ancient, yeah, 2.023 billion years. So this is very very old, older than the last one we looked at, and so it's obviously buried deep beneath the sediment that has since deposited on top, along with erosion. So the original crater was estimated to be 190 miles in diameter. That's crazy. That's like a couple hour drive there just to drive straight across it in a car. That would be, I mean, imagine like an area just turned into a giant crater that large. It's just insane. But it since has eroded, yeah. Larger than the Sudbury, larger than the Chicxulub crater, which we'll look at next, and the Redford Dome, which is what you see in that, what we looked at in the map. So, and yeah, and of course it affects the topography that's on top of it. It's the second oldest known crater on Earth. There's an older one in Russia, which that's interesting. I might have to find that one. And yeah, there's multiple. Oh, another interesting thing is it's a multiple ring impact. So the impact was so strong, it's such a strong impact that it created shock waves in the rock as it as the force radiated out, and you could see that still evidenced by these ridges on top. That's pretty cool. That's interesting for sure. So I forgot to check this earlier, but I found this really cool map here of all the major known impact craters on Earth. And it's actually an interactive map. This is on Wikipedia actually, so it's accessible to everybody. This is so the size of the ring obviously shows the force of the impact as well as the size of the crater. So the bigger the ring, the bigger the crater, obviously. And the color corresponds with the age. So this color is the oldest. You have newer ones, and then the red are the youngest. And the X's are craters that are so small that a ring just wouldn't make sense. So you can see that there's a big discrepancy between the largest craters and these smaller ones. So we looked at Redford, we looked at Sudbury here, we looked at Manikugen. Of course, the other big one in history is right here, Chicxulub. And so we'll head over that way, back across the Atlantic, back to North America. This time to one of the other countries in North America, to the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, I don't think there's really many remnants of this crater left that can be seen, at least from space here, from satellite image. You can kind of see, and I believe this corresponds to the crater, because there are, I believe, I have to look it up, but I believe there are wells along the former ridge of the crater, which is why you see towns popping up in kind of almost an arc here. With this city, Merida, the accent on the E, I hope I said that right, kind of in the middle of the ancient crater, with about half of it extending into the Gulf of Mexico here. So obviously the Chicxulub crater, as most of us know, is the crater that is, well, left behind by the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, or most of them, the non-avian dinosaurs. So yeah, basically the center, well, it's actually the center is a little bit offshore, but right around here. But yeah, now they've actually, when I was growing up, long ago, it was always 65 million years, but they've definitely refined the age of this impact pretty well, and it looks like they have it down to just a little bit over 66 million years, plus or minus 0.011. So that would be what, 11,000 years. So I just want to talk about one more impact that I find to be very interesting, not too far from me, and that would be this one right here, the Chesapeake Bay impact crater. So the Chesapeake Bay is a bay, in case you don't know, is a bay or an estuary that is here on the east coast of the United States, surrounded by Maryland, Virginia, and well, Washington D.C. is right. Washington D.C. is not on the Chesapeake. It is not. It's on the Potomac, but it's not too far away, is what I'm saying. But yeah, mostly Maryland and Virginia. Delaware is not also not on the Chesapeake, but it's not too far away either. So the Chesapeake Bay is another thing about the Chesapeake is I said it was an estuary, but it's also something called a RIA, R-I-A, which is essentially a submerged river valley. Basically, this river here, which is the Susquehanna River, I believe I've talked about this river in other videos on this channel. It starts here at Lake Otsego in upstate New York at the village of Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is, and it flows south through central New York and through central Pennsylvania into Maryland, down here, and eventually empties into Chesapeake Bay at right here at Havre de Grace. But long ago, back when the sea levels were much lower, and during the last major ice age, the Susquehanna continued south through what was then a river valley on land, and would have flowed out to the continental shelf out here. And of course, this valley has since flooded. But the reason why this valley exists, the reason why this area of land is depressed, is because there is a major impact crater underneath here. So let's look that up. Okay, so the Chesapeake Bay impact crater is a bolide impact that formed 35 million years ago, so not pretty recent. More recent than the Chicxulub crater, much more recent than the other major impacts we talked about. Still, obviously, a very long time ago on human scales, but in geologic time, not that long ago. It was a wet target impact. That's an interesting name. I guess that means it landed in water, would be my guess. I'm guessing that at the time of the impact, this entire area was probably a shallow sea. Yeah, coastal shallows. And that's when the impact happened. So essentially, here's a good little diagram. You have the crater deep underneath, central peak. This is the melted remnants and the sediment that filled the crater over time. And what that does is that lowers the land on top. This is more recent land that has been laid down in the 35 million years since. And that variation is what creates the Chesapeake Bay. This is the Delmarva Peninsula, and then the Atlantic Ocean out here. And this will be the mainland. So yeah, like I said, the entire reason the Chesapeake Bay even exists really is because of this impact crater underlying it, and the erosion of the Susquehanna River in the millions of years since, during periods of lower ocean levels, lower sea levels. So yeah, that's interesting stuff. I really hope you enjoyed learning about these things with me. I hope, I know it was a little long-winded and all that, but some good information. I hope you enjoyed. So be on the lookout for more of these episodes. I'm definitely going to be doing more. I think the next one I'm going to do major mountain peaks, or I may do isolated and exotic islands like in the South Pacific. Places that are very, very isolated. I really think it'll be interesting. And then there's all kinds of crazy, strange structures out there. And in fact, if you know of any interesting things that you can find on Google Maps or out there in the world, leave me a comment. Let me know about it. If you can, even give me some coordinates. That'll help me find it really easily. And I will definitely talk about it in the next episode. So, or whenever the next episode is after you leave the comment. So anyway, yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that. I really hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. As always, enjoy the ride and the journey.